The fifth truth is that true power lies in selective vulnerability, showing emotions, anger, empathy, or sadness only when it serves a purpose protects you from exploitation. Unguarded honesty is a liability. The world will weaponize your confessions, twisting your openness into ammunition. Imagine a politician sharing a personal story to connect with voters, but carefully omitting details that could be used against them. Selective vulnerability is not dishonesty, it is survival. The art of choosing who is worthy of your truth in your life. Reflect on moments when oversharing led to regret, perhaps confiding in a friend who later betrayed your trust. Next time, share only what aligns with your goals, and observe how others respond when denied full access to your inner world. This restraint creates a boundary that commands respect, signaling that your emotions are a privilege, not a right. The sixth truth is perhaps the most insidious. Guilt is the leash others use to control you. How often do you say yes to avoid feeling selfish, apologize for no reason, or over-explain to prevent misunderstanding? Guilt is a social mechanism designed to ensure compliance. Manipulators wield it with precision, using disappointed sighs, subtle accusations, or feigned vulnerability to make you feel you've failed them. Picture a friend who guilt trips you into attending an event, knowing you'll comply to avoid seeming unkind. This dynamic is pervasive. From workplaces where employees overwork, to prove loyalty to families where saying no feels like betrayal. To reclaim your power, you must learn to sit with guilt without yielding to it, allowing others to feel their disappointment without rushing to fix it. Practice this by saying no to a low-stakes request, perhaps declining an invitation and resisting the urge to justify it. Notice the discomfort, but hold your ground. Over time, this builds resilience, freeing you from the cycle of compliance driven by guilt. Consider the story of Rosa Parks, whose refusal to give up her seat was a quiet but powerful rejection of societal guilt-tripping. Her calm defiance shifted history, proving that enduring guilt without yielding can be a revolutionary act. The seventh truth reveals that people obey what they fear confronting, not because of threats, but because they avoid discomfort. Manipulators create an atmosphere where refusal feels more uncomfortable than compliance, using implication rather than demand. A boss might hint at disappointment rather than directly asking for overtime, knowing you'll volunteer to avoid tension. This tactic exploits our aversion to conflict, making us complicit in our own manipulation. To counter this, embrace the discomfort of refusal. Let your no stand firm, unsoftened by explanations, and watch how others adjust when they realize you won't bend. For example, in a team meeting, if someone pressures you to take on extra work, respond with, "That's not feasible for me," and leave it there. This clarity shifts the dynamic, forcing others to respect your boundaries. The eighth truth warns that weakness is advertised through unasked for apologies. Preemptive apologies, "I'm sorry, but I can't today," or "I'm sorry, I don't agree," signal that you don't believe in your own boundaries. Manipulators sense this instantly, pushing harder because they know you're primed to fold. Imagine a colleague who apologizes for declining a task, only to be pressured into taking it on. Apologies should be reserved for genuine mistakes, not for asserting your needs. Practice saying no cleanly, without qualifiers, and observe how it shifts the dynamic. For example, instead of "I'm sorry, I'm busy," try "I'm not available." This clarity reinforces your authority, signaling that your boundaries are non-negotiable. The ninth truth exposes flattery as a disguised leash. Manipulators praise your generosity, loyalty, or work ethic to ensure you keep providing it, exploiting your hunger for validation. They don't admire you, they want your continued service. Many fall into this trap, working tirelessly for approval that never satisfies. Consider an employee praised as indispensable by a manager, only to be overworked without reward. To avoid this, let praise pass through you like a breeze through an open window. Acknowledge it, but don't let it define you. When someone compliments you excessively, pause and ask, what do they want from this? This awareness protects your autonomy, ensuring you act from intention, not flattery. The 10th truth is that those who seek to control you rely on your ignorance of your own value. They downplay your contributions, call you overly sensitive, or question your decisions to keep you small. A person who knows their worth cannot be cheaply bought. Reflect on moments when you've been minimized, perhaps a partner dismissing your ambitions as unrealistic, and recognize it as a tactic to maintain their comfort. To counter this, affirm your value daily. Write down 3 contributions you've made each day, whether at work, in relationships, or personally, to build unshakable self-awareness. This practice, inspired by Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who reflected daily on their principles, grounds you in your worth, making you impervious to manipulation. The 11th truth is that change invites punishment. When you stop playing the predictable role others expect, saying no, refusing to apologize, or embracing silence, those who benefited from your compliance will retaliate. They'll call you selfish, cold, or arrogant, not because you've harmed them, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. Consider an employee who sets boundaries at work, only to face accusations of being uncooperative. This is the tax of evolution, the price of outgrowing roles others have written for you. Embrace it as proof of your progress, and hold firm against their attempts to pull you back. Historically, figures like Galileo faced backlash for challenging established norms, yet their persistence reshaped the world. In your life, expect resistance when you assert new boundaries, and see it as a sign you're on the right path. The 12th truth unveils the manipulator's ultimate goal: dependency. They want you to need their approval more than they need yours, binding you with insecurity. They create a quiet contract. As long as you seek their validation, they own you. Reflect on relationships where you've stayed too long, fearing loss of approval, perhaps a friendship where you tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. To break free, recognize these chains disguised as gifts. Practice valuing your own approval above others, perhaps by journaling about your strengths or meditating on your independence. This shift, akin to Buddhist practices of detachment, liberates you from the need for external validation. The 13th truth reveals that systems, society, workplaces, relationships thrive on your exhaustion. By keeping you busy, worried, or indebted, they ensure compliance. An exhausted person lacks the energy to resist or question. Notice how often you're praised for overworking, yet rarely encouraged to rest. A corporate culture that celebrates hustle while ignoring burnout is a prime example. Break this cycle by prioritizing self-care. Set a firm end to your workday. Say no to non-essential tasks and refuse to equate sacrifice with virtue. This mirrors the philosophy of minimalism, which values intentionality over excess, freeing you to focus on what truly matters. The 14th truth exposes how manipulators weaponize empathy. They present themselves as victims, appealing to your compassion to secure your resources, time, energy, or attention. Your empathy becomes a currency they exploit, demanding more as you give. Imagine a friend who constantly shares their crises, expecting you to solve them, only to dismiss your needs. To protect yourself, offer help only when it aligns with your values, and set limits to preserve your peace. For example, respond to a friend's complaint with, "That sounds tough, how are you handling it?" This shifts responsibility back to them, preserving your energy. The 15th truth is rooted in human psychology. Scarcity creates value, while abundance destroys it. The more available you are, the less you are valued. By making your time, energy, and presence a privilege, you teach others to respect you. Consider a mentor who only offers advice sparingly, making each session highly sought after. Practice saying no to non-essential demands, such as declining to answer non-urgent messages immediately. Notice how your presence gains weight when it's not freely given, transforming you from a commodity to a rarity. The 16th truth is your greatest leverage: the willingness to walk away. Those who cannot leave fearing loneliness or lost trade their dignity for acceptance. But the person who values their peace above others' approval cannot be manipulated. Practice this by exiting situations that disrespect your worth, even if it feels uncomfortable. For example, leave a toxic workplace or end a draining friendship, trusting that your self-respect is worth more than their approval. This echoes the Stoic principle of amor fati, loving your fate, embracing solitude as a path to strength. The 17th truth warns that boundaries will be framed as cruelty. Manipulators twist your no into betrayal, hoping guilt will pull you back. They'll accuse you of being heartless or ungrateful, escalating with emotional outbursts or silent treatments. Endure these accusations without defending yourself, recognizing that their anger reflects their loss of control, not your failure. Practice this by responding to accusations with silence or a simple, "I understand you feel that way," refusing to engage in their drama. Imagine entering a room filled with voices competing for attention, some shouting orders, others pleading for agreement. Yet the person who commands the most respect is the one who says nothing. Their silence isn't empty, it's heavy, deliberate, charged with an unspoken authority that makes others pause, question, and even fear. Why does this quiet figure wield such influence? Because true power, as Niccolò Machiavelli, the Renaissance master of human nature, understood, is not about noise or force, but about the subtle art of restraint, unpredictability, and emotional sovereignty, to be feared not in the sense of terror, but in the awe and respect that compel others to tread carefully, is to master a set of psychological truths that transform you from a predictable, manipulable figure into an enigmatic force, untouchable and revered. These truths, drawn from Machiavelli's timeless insights, reveal how to navigate a world ruled by ambition, fear, and hidden agendas, ensuring you emerge not as a puppet, but as the architect of your own destiny. The first truth centers on the power of silence. In a society obsessed with expression, where social media amplifies every thought, markets react to every rumor, and personal interactions demand immediate responses, silence is a radical act. When you withhold your reactions, refusing to explain, apologize, or justify, you become unreadable, a cipher that defies others' attempts to predict or control you. This stillness is not passive. It's a strategic weapon, sharper than any blade, because it forces others to confront their own motives and insecurities. Picture a heated negotiation where your opponent demands an answer, but you offer only a steady gaze. In that moment, their confidence wavers. They scramble to fill the void, revealing their fears or intentions while you remain an enigma. Silence creates a psychological vacuum, drawing out others' projections, accusations of arrogance or deceit that say more about their anxieties than about you. Historical figures like Cleopatra mastered this art, using calculated restraint to outmaneuver rivals, her silence amplifying her mystique. In modern times, leaders like Angela Merkel wielded understated demeanor to project unshakable authority, proving that silence is not absence but presence, a canvas onto which others paint their uncertainties. To practice this, start in everyday interactions. When someone provokes you, perhaps a colleague's subtle jab or a friend's passive-aggressive comment, pause before responding. Let the silence linger, not out of anger, but as a deliberate choice to observe. Notice how the other person reacts. Do they rush to explain, deflect, or escalate? This moment of discomfort reveals their reliance on your reaction, giving you the upper hand. Over time, this discipline transforms your presence, making your words rare and valuable, each one carrying the weight of intention. Silence, when wielded consciously, is not just a shield but a mirror, reflecting others' weaknesses while concealing your own. This leads to the second truth. Predictability is a vulnerability. When your actions follow a clear pattern, when others know what triggers your anger, what flatters your ego, or what prompts your apologies, they hold the keys to manipulating you. They study your habits like a chess player analyzing an opponent's predictable moves, learning which words will sway you, which criticisms will make you defensive, or which silences will compel you to speak. Imagine a co-worker who knows that praising your work ethic ensures your compliance, or that questioning your competence sparks a flurry of self-justification. They use this knowledge to pull your strings, keeping you tethered to their agenda. But when you embrace unpredictability, you become like smoke, slipping through their grasp. Your guarded expressions, carefully chosen words, and concealed intentions make you impossible to pin down. A predictable person is a puppet, their strings visible to all. An unpredictable person is a mystery, feared because no one knows what they might do next. Machiavelli's famous maxim, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both," underscores this. But he also warned that predictability invites dismissal. To be ignored is fatal to respect, as it signals you're easily managed. Consider the strategy of a military general like Sun Tzu, who varied tactics to keep enemies off balance, or a modern CEO who shifts negotiation strategies to unsettle competitors in your life. Unpredictability can be cultivated through small shifts. If someone expects you to argue, respond with a question. If they anticipate agreement, withhold it until you've assessed their intent. This disruption forces others to recalibrate, making them cautious in your presence. Over time, this practice builds an aura of mystery, ensuring that others think twice before crossing you, not because you're cruel, but because you're unreadable. The third truth is that people crave certainty, and when you deny them easy answers, they project their fears onto you. When you offer no immediate reaction or clear explanation, you become a mirror reflecting their insecurities. They may accuse you of arrogance, cruelty, or untrustworthiness, not because these are true, but because your composure threatens their illusion of control. This projection is a form of power, allowing you to shape their emotional landscape without effort. Picture a diplomat at a tense summit, their calm silence unsettling opponents who expect emotional outbursts. Their restraint amplifies their authority, forcing others to question themselves. In daily life, you can harness this by resisting the urge to defend yourself against accusations. When a friend or colleague projects their frustration onto you, perhaps calling you aloof for setting boundaries, respond with a neutral question like, "What makes you say that?" This shifts the focus back to them, exposing their instability while you remain centered. This projection dynamic reveals a deeper truth about human psychology. People fear the unknown, and your refusal to conform to their expectations makes you an enigma. Machiavelli understood that this fear is not about physical threat, but about psychological unease, the discomfort of not knowing where you stand. To practice this, observe moments when others project onto you. Perhaps a family member accuses you of being distant when you prioritize your needs instead of explaining. Let their words hang in the air, and notice how their accusations reveal more about their need for control than about your actions. This discipline transforms you into a force that shapes interactions without surrendering your power. Why do we rush to speak, to justify, to apologize? The answer lies in our fear of being misunderstood. This fear drives us to fill silences with explanations, to clarify intentions that others exploit. Yet, there's immense strength in allowing others to misunderstand you. The person who reveals everything, weaknesses, insecurities, desires, becomes small, manageable, and easily exploited. Imagine a colleague who overshares their doubts, only to find their words used against them in a performance review. In contrast, the one who guards their intentions, speaking only when it serves a purpose, grows larger than life. Their silence fuels others' imaginations, and imagination is far more powerful than truth. Historical leaders like Abraham Lincoln mastered this, using measured speech to command respect, their silences leaving others to ponder their motives. In modern contexts, think of a negotiator who reveals only what advances their goal, leaving opponents guessing. To adopt this, practice speaking less in high-stakes moments, letting your silence amplify your presence. Machiavelli's teachings extend beyond silence to the mastery of emotions, which brings us to the fourth truth. Whoever controls your emotions controls you. Manipulators don't need physical chains. They need only know which words ignite your anger, guilt, or need for validation. A single comment, a subtle jab at your competence, or a hint of disappointment can unravel your composure, pushing you to react in ways that serve their agenda. Consider a partner who knows that questioning your loyalty sparks a defensive explanation, keeping you tethered to their approval. To break free, you must become the architect of your emotional landscape, choosing when and how to respond. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or becoming cold. It means recognizing your triggers and severing their hold. Take the example of Nelson Mandela, who maintained dignity during decades of imprisonment, refusing to let his captors' provocations dictate his emotions. His emotional mastery made him a symbol of resilience, commanding respect even from adversaries. To practice this, identify your triggers, perhaps a specific criticism or a tone of voice, and pause before reacting. Ask yourself, why does this affect me? Whose agenda am I serving by responding? This pause creates space for choice. transforming you from a reactor to a decision maker over time. This discipline builds an inner fortress, impervious to external manipulation. The 18th truth is the most potent. Your absence is often more powerful than your presence. By withholding reactions, explanations, or engagement, you force others to confront the value they overlooked. Your absence creates a vacuum that amplifies your influence. Imagine a leader who steps back from a chaotic team, letting their absence highlight their stabilizing role. Practice this by disengaging from draining interactions, letting silence speak louder than words. Historically, figures like Gandhi used strategic withdrawal such as his salt march to amplify their impact, proving that absence can reshape dynamics. These 18 truths form a roadmap to psychological sovereignty, a state where you are no longer swayed by others' manipulations or bound by their expectations. Mastering silence transforms you into a force of mystery, compelling respect through restraint. Embracing unpredictability shields you from exploitation, making you a puzzle others cannot solve. Controlling your emotions liberates you from external agendas, while selective vulnerability protects your authenticity. Rejecting guilt and embracing conflict redefine your relationships. Demanding mutual respect, valuing scarcity and the power to walk away elevates your presence, while enduring accusations and leveraging absence cement your authority. This path is not easy. It requires courage to face loneliness, discipline to guard your words, and resilience to withstand misunderstanding. The world may call you cold, distant, or cruel, but these labels are the price of freedom. Those who matter will adjust, learning to respect your boundaries and value your presence. Those who don't will fall away, their departure a victory for your sovereignty. You were not born to be managed, to serve others' agendas, or to live on your knees. You were born to rule yourself, to command respect through the power of your silence, the weight of your absence, and the clarity of your purpose. Embrace these truths, and you will become a force that others cannot ignore. A legend whispered about, a standard against which others measure themselves, and a reminder that freedom is possible for those willing to pay its price.